Honey, Skylar, where is the rest? Skylar, where is the money?
Well, that could have gone better. So before I start this video and explain what I mean in the title, I just want to point out that I did enjoy Shazam Fury of the Gods. I thought it was a fun film, quite a lot of heart to it, a lot of good action. For the most part, I think the comedy worked well. I liked the visuals, the suits that the heroes wore were great. The Shazam family costumes were definitely an improvement from the first movie, especially Zachary Levi's. But overall, I think it was a pretty average comic book film with nothing we haven't really seen before. And I think that combined with a few of the reasons is why the movie hasn't done well in the box office. So what's interesting about the DCEU is that since the first Shazam, it's actually made negative money in the box office. Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, the Suicide Squad have all been box office flops. Then of course last year we had the infamous Black Adam failure, and then now this. And I think the main reason why has been a sincere sort of lack of direction within the films. I think ever since Zack Snyder left and that plot of what Zack Snyder's Justice League was going to set up with the Nightmare One Darkseid left, they haven't really had a plan. Warner Brothers with the old regime, Underwater, Hamada, Toby Emmerich, everyone else, were basically just making up these films as they went along. And of course you don't have to have every movie be like a set stepping stone for other films, but you do need to have like at least a good quality and a good idea where everything is going. You know, you don't want the audience to speculate where the hell this movie's going to lead towards while they're watching it. You want to have a clear idea where everything's going. So as much as I do feel sympathy for David Zanderberg, Zachary Levi, and all of the cast and crew of the film, because I do believe it was a fun time and a good, enjoyable experience, I understand that these movies take so long to make and all the time and effort you put into things, and to see him not do well is probably disheartening. Especially with Zachary Levi being the lead of the film, it's probably not good to see the lead movie you're in not do well box office-wise, because when it comes to your career, that's probably pretty scary. And there's a lot of studios that are probably not going to hire him as of late now, because they think, what, your movie's, we're not going to cast Zachary Levi in a lead film, his last film, lead film flop, why would we? So I think it's obviously something you can sympathise with to an extent. However, I do believe that Zachary in particular has made a lot of excuses for the film not doing well. The main one being blaming Dwayne Johnson, the failure of Shazam, and saying that he's been meddling in it ever since Black Adam. Now obviously there's been a lot of stuff that he's exposed The Rock for by saying that he wasn't allowed to be in Black Adam, the post-credits scene, when it would have made sense to set him up to fight him, considering that Shazam is, you know, Black Adam's arch rival, just like Batman is with the Joker, Superman is with Lex Luthor. And I know a lot of people are giving Dwayne Johnson a lot of stick over the last couple of months because he's been trying to push to get the Superman fight and all that stuff that happened there with bringing Henry Cavill back and making it all about him. And now, of course, we're in a position where Henry Cavill is not coming back and Dwayne Johnson probably isn't either. He stopped the JSA being in Shazam 2, the post-credits scene. The post-credits scene where the Peacemaker cast came to invite Billy Batson to become part of the Justice Society was meant to be, I believe, Hawkman, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, but there's rumours that Dwayne Johnson didn't let them use those characters because he wanted to be the focus of his film, which overall is a stupid idea, and it kind of shows that maybe The Rock is putting his ego first and allowing, you know, these other movies to suffer for the sake of him being, you know, more in the spotlight. However, I also don't believe that The Rock is solely to blame for the underperformance of Shazam 2. I think that if the movie was just good enough on its own and as good as the first movie and overall audiences and critics both loved it, it still would have made money. You know, you don't need set up for other films for a film to do well. You know, the Joker and the Batman movies are an example of these. You know, they were totally separate movies, nothing that had been set up prior to that, and they still did really well because they were just great films. And obviously, they are more A-list characters. People know who the Batman and Joker characters are way more than Shazam, but it's the same kind of thing, and you don't need to have loads of setup for multiple projects in the years to come for a movie to do well and build hype. You just need a good script. So one of the main criticisms that Shazam 2 has got is probably Zachary Levi's performance as the character. And while I do believe that he is a charismatic dude and I do like Zachary as an actor, I kind of agree. Asher Angel plays the character who I believe in the film was 17, and he plays him like a normal 17-year-old kid when he's not the Shazam hero. Then as soon as he turns into Zachary Levi, he's acting like a 12-year-old. He's leaping around, screaming, laughing, yelling around the place, saying, you know, I love these you know, stupid one-liners, and that's not the same performance. It feels like they're playing two different characters. And I get it. I get that Zachary wanted to play up the more comedic aspects of Shazam. That's the you know, intriguing, unique part of his character that makes him different to Superman and the Flash. He's more of a kid kind of character. But when you have the kid, your human, normal version of him, a normal 17-year-old, and then all of a sudden he's this jarring, with Guy Leaping in place, it's just weird. It feels like they're not playing the same character. But I think ultimately that is one of the main reasons why the film is jarring. And there's also stuff like the comedy. The comedy for me, especially with Zachary Levi, never really was funny. I didn't laugh out loud once from anything that Zachary Levi said at all. There's nothing that I found funny. The funniest bit was probably Dave Helen Mirren reading a letter out in their cave after they sort of sent the letter from the lair, and you could tell because the pen was a Joe was like writing down the stuff that they were saying out loud that wasn't meant to be on the letter, so she was reading out all the stuff they were saying. That was the funniest bit of the film, and it had nothing to do with Zachary Levi. However, these movies can do well box office wise. You can have movies like Ant-Man Quantumania, which in my opinion was not a great film at all, that still made a decent amount of film in the box office, because they wanted to see how this movie sets up Avengers Kang Dynasty. And that is the difference between the MCU and the DCEU, is that even mediocre films like Ant-Man and other movies like, Ant-Man and the Wasp, for example, Thor Love and Thunder, can do well box office wise because they are part of this continuous saga that is going to sit up in the next few years. And audiences also know that it's part of this foundation of this universe that they become really familiar with, and know that it is going to be part of a larger story. So even if they may not like this film, it's going to set up something that they may like in the future. However, with the DCEU, before James Gunn took over, these movies have had no structure. They had no idea what they're doing. They're basically making up as they went along. And Shazam 2 is kind of a product of this, because, like I said, I don't believe that we're getting a third Shazam film now. I think we can still get Zachary Levi back as the character in some movie down the line, because he definitely fits within James Gunn's universe and more, let's face it, comedy focus, which is what he's probably going to do, and it's a more comic booky, light-hearted character. And Zachary Levi is a good casting choice for it. However, the post-credit scenes of the JSA and Shazam being recruited might not even go anywhere. We don't even know if this is now going to be part of the new timeline. Now, of course, about a year ago, Shazam was meant to be released post the Flash movie. But that is the main concern for the rest of these DCEU movies, because while I do believe that the Flash film will do well because of the success of the, Matt Keaton films and how popular he is as a character, and he's coming back, and also the visuals themselves look really awesome. There's some great homages to Man of Steel, and overall I'm just really looking forward to that film. The main reason why people are going to watch that is to see how it sets up the new timeline and how they're going to carry on from there. And it's probably going to be the first movie that's going to bring back some sort of continuity in years. Blue Beetle itself looks like a fun film with a bit of a tone like Miss Marvel in terms of the comedy and the family dynamic. Then also has some more of the story elements of Venom, where you have this main character that goes into this government-controlled place, has this alien technology or alien being that merges with him, that gives him these powers and abilities, has a mind of its own, and then the government have to sort of step in and try and get it back because it belongs to them, and he has to protect his family and fight and defend himself. That feels like sort of the vibe they're going with. To be fair with that movie, one thing I think everyone's expecting, or at least hoping for, is that because we're getting Damian Wayne and at least one Robin in Brave and the Bold, that we could get between this movie and that movie a Teen Titans set up. Robin, Blue Beetle, other characters could then pop up in other movies, who knows? Well, the problem that these movies have is, like I said, we don't know where these movies take place. We don't know if Blue Beetle will be in the new timeline because it's been released post the Flash movie, or is it going to be pre the Flash movie because it was made back with the original regime and Walter Hamada was in charge, in which case there's no point watching this film either. even Hammy's father, when he references Batman calls him a fascist, in the trailer, the director doesn't even know which Batman he's referencing. Is he referencing Affleck's Batman because it's in the old or is it Matt Keaton's because it was meant to be in the new timeline with Walter Hamada was in charge and Batgirl wasn't meant to be cancelled, or is it even referencing the new James Gunn DCU Batman that he's going to cast because it's in the new timeline? We have no idea, and we probably won't have any idea until after the film's been released. Aquaman 2 is another example. Is that movie in the new timeline because it's released post the Flash movie, or because Jason Momoa is playing Aquaman again, is it in the pre-Flashpoint timeline? So yeah, that is the main reason why I believe Shazam 2 was not a box office success, and the main reason why I'm pretty concerned about the future of these DCEU movies going forward, because even though I believe that once we get to Superman Legacy in 2025, we're going to get a much more concise longevity saga going forward, I also believe that these next few films are going to suffer because of that, because we don't know where these movies take place. Even if they confirm that Blue Beetle takes place in the new timeline, Aquaman 2 takes place, that still brings up a lot of questions. The main one being, if Jason Momoa is carrying on as Aquaman in his new timeline, but no one else is are the previous movies going to be canon, or is it just going to be this new separate thing? There's also rumours that Aquaman 2 is now totally separate to everything else going on. So that means that it's going to have the same issues as James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, where We don't know, is this going to be a reboot? Is it going to be a sequel? Is it going to be a soft reboot? Is the first movie canon? Is it not? Are the previous movies canon? Are they not? That's the issue that these have, is just because you may have the same cast and the same people behind it all, but if you're not going to follow the same continuity, audiences are just going to be left confused. They're not going to be sure where all this takes place, and that's going to lead people to be thinking that it's very jarring and become disinterested, and it may not do well. So that is ultimately why I believe Shazam 2 did not do well in the box office. I think it's a combination of the movie being quite mediocre in audience and critic reception, nothing they haven't really seen before, and also in this universe where the continuity is basically all over the place. And while I do believe that the Flash movie will do well because of its resetting the timeline, and also if it is as good as everyone says it is, like even Tom Cruise has hyped it up for some reason, that movie is going to do well. I think that's going to be a successful film. I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm excited for it. I know that everyone, like I said, if you're not wanting to watch the movie because of Ezra Miller, then I get it. I understand. However, I do believe that movie is going to do well. You've also got the question of, well, if Jason is still playing Aquaman, but it's in a reboot timeline, why should he stay when everyone else is going? Does that mean that Gal Gadot is going to come back, or if she's going, or a certain actor is going to come back, but other ones aren't? It's this whole can of worms is just really confusing. So while I do believe that when we get to 2025 and Superman Legacy, which I believe is going to be a good film, James Gunn has confirmed that he's directing it now, which is cool. I think that once we get to that movie, it's going to be smooth sailing from there. But unfortunately, we now have this whole year of DC films where it's this rocky road, and I think the only one that's going to guarantee any success will be the one that's meant to reboot it all in the first place. But like I said, I think the Flash movie's going to be cool. I believe there's a trailer coming out on April 25th, so you can expect a trailer reaction for that, definitely. But yeah, thank you for watching my little video analysis, if you like. Like I said, I still like the movie. I think it was pretty fun. And I do feel bad for David Zanderberg especially. He's now said he's going to take a break from superhero films. I don't blame him, because I think he got really screwed over in the process of all this, because they wanted to merge this film right in the middle of the reboot and the takeover, change of the guard, as Henry Cavill called it. And while I do believe that The Rock could be blamed for some of the stuff, it feels like they're really trying to be making some excuses and just admit they didn't do well, exactly. Okay, just admit that. Can either of me do? Can you not have one? Can we go 2 weeks without a giant Instagram live meltdown and say why you should see this movie instead of John Wick, please?
It's there. And this weekend, John Wick comes out. Listen, I love Keanu Reeves. If you want to go see John Wick, fucking go for it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you not to. But John Wick's not a family movie. So if you're looking for a movie for your family or whatever, or you just don't want to get into like hardcore, pop, go see Shazam Fury the Gods.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I did say that this next video won't be as long a wait as between the last one. Okay, it's been a month, but still, I'm getting better. I'm slowly but surely. That's what matters, right? I guess.